Hello there, it's Anna from Feed Your Passion. I'm here to talk about food waste and eating sustainably. I am sorry I'm a little bit late. I'm actually on a film set, would you believe, and couldn't get any signal. So I've been given this lovely room. Thank you for joining us. You can see there's someone here already. So as you're watching the video, if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments. I've forgotten to put my glasses on, but hopefully I'll be able to read them. Any comments that I can't answer during the video, I will answer later today, later on this afternoon or this evening. I have made some notes, so I'm sorry, I'll keep looking at them, but at least I know that I'll remember to say everything this way. So first of all, why is it important to talk about food waste? Well, actually, in the UK, 17.7% of the food and drink that we purchase for our households is actually wasted, and that's about 14 million tonnes of food every year, according to the European Commission, that is wasted in the UK. And we have the worst record in Europe for wasting food. So it's not just about, obviously, the food that's wasted after or what happens to the food after it's entered our household. Obviously it ends up in landfill, but it will decompose. But it's also the fact that obviously animals are being bred and killed and then wasted. I remember reading an article years ago, but I'll never forget the figure, that 86 million chickens every year are just wasted. So they are born, have a horrible life, and then end up in the bin. Also, obviously, the plastic that's produced to package this food, it's pointless producing that packaging. How many lorries are on the road every year needlessly to transport 17.7 million of tonnes of food that we're never going to eat. So hopefully you'll agree with me that it's definitely important for us all to kind of look at how much food we waste in our house and try to change that. Obviously some of the food's wasted because it doesn't get bought at the shops, and some of the food's wasted by the hospitality industry. I think it's 1 in 6 meals actually waste in the hospitality industry. So yeah, corporates can do something to change this as well, but I think we need to show that we want to change and we need to make the changes ourselves, and if we demand it, then they'll have to make changes too. So there's some kind of facts and figures for you. Also, food as it decomposes is releasing methane. Food waste produces more than 20 million tonnes of greenhouse gases in the UK every year, and that's the same as the emissions from 3.5 million cars. So there you go. We're not doing our planet any favours. Also, obviously, it's money as well as food that you're wasting. So £17.50 per person per month in the UK is the sort of what we're spending on food that we then waste. Also, we're growing crops unnecessarily, so we're growing crops for us to eat that we don't eat, we're growing crops for the animals that we don't eat to eat, and it's not good for the soil, it's not good for the ecosystem. So the less crops that we're growing, the better. So, you know, we could have wildflower fields, we could be planting trees on the land that's currently being used to produce arable food for us and the animals that some of us eat or don't eat. So hopefully you're now thinking that you do want to make some effort to reduce your food waste and save yourself some money as well. So what can you do? I think the first thing and most important thing is to start to plan your meals every week. So know what you're going to eat on each night and what you're going to have for lunch. And you can even plan your meals so that if you eat something one night and you're not going to use all of the ingredients, you can use the rest of them in your lunch tomorrow, or for your dinner tomorrow. If you plan your meals before you go shopping, you know what you need to buy. You just buy what you need for the week's meals, and I've done that before. It does save you money. I work in catering at the minute, so I don't often kind of do a weekly shop, but when I used to, I definitely noticed a big difference when I was planning my meals every week. Also, make sure your fridge is the correct temperature. It needs to be between 0 and 5 degrees. If you're storing your food at the correct temperature, then you'll definitely, it will last longer. If you've cooked a meal and you've got some leftovers, you can put them back in the fridge for the next day, or you can, if there's enough, you could freeze them and heat them up to have, another day or a number of weeks. And if you realise that food's going to start getting past its best, and you're not going to eat it that day or the next day, then just put it in the freezer. Most things freeze absolutely fine. Vegetables, fruit, meat, obviously, they all freeze. You might sort of use them slightly differently when you do cook them, but they'll be absolutely fine, and it actually helps them to keep the nutrition value as well. So sometimes you might have plenty of food in the house, but you haven't planned your meals, and it feels easier to just go to the shops than to you look at your cupboards and you think, oh, I don't know what I'll do with that. I could make this, but I need to go and buy that, and we end up sort of wasting something because we go and buy food to make a meal that comes into our head, rather than sort of coming up with a meal from just what we've got in our cupboards. One thing I would recommend doing to avoid that is to always be stocked up on things like onions, garlic, tins of tomatoes, tins of different types of beans and chickpeas, some lentils, rice, pasta, maybe quinoa and couscous, stock cubes for making soup and stews and things. So all the non-perishable dry goods, sort of make sure you've got plenty of those in the house, so that when you're looking at the fresh stuff that needs using up, you can quite easily decide what you're going to eat, because you've got the other ingredients there ready, and you don't have to nip out to the shop to get a bag of rice or to get an onion. So yesterday I left a very quick post and asked for people to leave comments with some items of food they've got in the house that need using up, that you're not sure how to use it, and you're not sure kind of how to put it all together into a meal or a few meals. So thank you very much to those who did comment. I looked at them last night, and then I looked at them again sort of an hour ago and realised that there were some more comments. So I've done my best to cover everybody's comments. So Catherine said her fridge had died. Oh no, sorry to hear that. You must have had a bit of a panic to try and rescue some food. So Catherine had in her fridge some romaine lettuce, some tomatoes, cauliflower, leeks, natural yoghurt, and then she said also in her cupboard she had lots of spices, tinned tomatoes, some kidney beans and some butter beans, and she's put etc. So I can assume that she does have some of the food items in the house. So with the items that Catherine had in her fridge, I would suggest that today, for lunch, Catherine could make a salad. So the cauliflower that you've got, I'd use that over 2 meals, but I would roast it all now, and use half of it for lunch and half of it for dinner. Maybe season it with a little bit of paprika or some turmeric and some salt, so it'll have really nice flavour. So roast your cauliflower, and then chop half of it up and leave it to cool for your salad, and the other half can go in the fridge for later. Chop up your romaine lettuce and your tomatoes, whatever size some people like big bits in the salad, and some people like to chop them up small. Mix those with the cauliflower in your bowl. I would also drain and rinse your butter beans for this, because they don't need to cook when they're tinned. You can eat them straight from the tin, and they would be adding some protein to your salad, and it'll leave you feeling nice and full afterwards. So mix your butter beans in, and then you can make a dressing with your yoghurt. So 3 tablespoons of yoghurt, mix that with a tablespoon of olive oil, a clove of crushed garlic if you've got some garlic, and some lemon juice, which could be fresh or bottled. I would probably say at least 1/4 of a lemon, but I like things to be very lemony. If you don't have the lemon, garlic, olive oil, whatever, you could just mix your yoghurt with some spices. So, I think paprika would be nice with that. If you've got any herbs, put some herbs in there, and make a nice dressing with the yoghurt. So that's a nice lunch. And then for dinner, what did I say for dinner? Oh, I was going to say, so the leeks. I put the leeks in the freezer. I was racking my brains, didn't quite come up with anything that felt like it would be a great dinner. So put the leeks in the freezer when you do your, well, I hope it wasn't a fridge freezer that died. If it was, maybe you could make your soup today, but then you can't freeze it and eat it tomorrow. So the leeks, get some potatoes. I was going to say make leek and potato soup. So if you can, put the leeks in the freezer. And then dinner tonight, you've got half of your cauliflower, you've still got some yoghurt, you've got your tinned tomatoes, you've got your tinned kidney beans. So I thought we could make a sort of creamy Rajma Curry. Rajma is a kidney bean curry. So I've eaten them in restaurants, never actually made one. So I quite like making things up as I go along when I'm cooking. So this is what I would suggest that you do. I'm hoping you've got some rice in the house. So you've got the onion and garlic, then chop up an onion and a couple of cloves of garlic. Fry those in your pan until they're nice and soft, and then drain your kidney beans and add your kidney beans, your tin of tomatoes, and you've got lots of spices, so add 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of garam masala. Let that cook on a low heat for 20-30 minutes so that the spices all kind of mix in and blend in nicely. And then for the last sort of 5 or 10 minutes of it cooking, obviously your cauliflower is already cooked, so I'd add your cauliflower at that point and add maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons of yoghurt and mix that in as well, and it'll make a nice creamy tomatoey Rajma curry. And while it's cooking, you can cook your rice, boil some rice in a pan. If you don't have any rice, maybe you've got some naan bread, or maybe there's a corner shop that you can nip to, but most people have got rice in the house, I think. So that's Catherine hopefully sorted. Fiona said she had salmon, or usually has salmon and lacklustre veg that need using up. Salmon's obviously a source of protein and omegas, so it's quite healthy to have, and vegetables are great, all kinds of vegetables. It doesn't really matter what sort of veg you've got, you can probably make a stir fry. You weren't specific, but I think you'll probably be able to make a stir fry. You could just have the salmon and the veg, or you could throw in some noodles or some rice. If you've got some sweet chilli sauce, you can make your own sauce with just lemon juice again and olive oil. And you could also add some soy sauce. So different types of stir fry. Obviously it goes back to always having sort of rice and noodles, and just sort of noodles in stock. Helen had tomatoes, peppers, yoghurt, cucumber, ham and cooked barbecue chicken in her fridge. So to me, the first thing that jumped into my mind was fajitas. So Helen, I'm hoping you've got some tortilla wraps in the cupboard. If not, you could again just have this with rice, or you could just make the fajita chicken and vegetables and have it with some salad. But yeah, I think it'd be nicest with wraps. So pan fry the tomatoes, peppers and barbecue chicken, which is already cooked, so it just needs heating up. You do need to make sure that it's heated up enough. And then mix in to the veg 1/4 of a pot of yoghurt, and some Cajun spices. If you don't have Cajun spices, paprika and a bit of chili powder. It'll be lovely. If you've got some coriander, throw that on at the end. It'll be absolutely delicious. I think that's a really good meal, actually. And like I say, serve it in wraps or with some rice. And then you had ham and cucumber sandwiches. Or you could buy some more salady bits and make a nice ham salad. So that's Helen's fridge sorted. And then you can go off and do your weekly shop when you've eaten those. Matt, you commented late last night. I was still up, but I was like, I need to go to bed because I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So Matt had sausages, tinned tomatoes, courgettes, carrots, green beans and eggs. The first thing that I would suggest that you have is an omelette. And so pan fry your sausages and your veg so that they're kind of mostly cooked. And then you can just like whisk the eggs and pour them on top of the veg basically. And if you want to cheat with the omelette, you can cook the underside and then put it under the grill to cook the top side. Because if you're like me, you end up with just scrambled eggs and bits of veg. Not that I've tried to make an omelette for a long time, but that did used to happen sometimes. But yeah, I often used to do that to use up veg. It's a really good meal because obviously the veg are full of all sorts of vitamins, and then the eggs are a good source of protein. My other idea for you, Matt, was a sort of sausage and vegetable casserole, because that would also use up the tinned tomatoes. You could literally sort of pan fry those sausages, and then if you've got a slow cooker, just throw in the vegetables, the sausages, and the tinned tomatoes into the slow cooker and leave them like 5-6 hours. Or cook them on a low heat in the pan on your hob. Obviously that didn't use up the eggs though, but you could even just hard boil the eggs, slice them and throw them in at the end of when everything else is cooked, and have eggs in your casserole. So you can use all of your ingredients that's in one meal. Joanne, I haven't written down everything that you had because I only looked at this very recently and I was in a hurry. But I remember you had lots of fruit. I think you said apples and pears, didn't you? And yoghurt and brown bananas. So if you can bear to eat raw bananas when they're brown, then I would just suggest sort of a fruit salad with some yoghurt. You could have had some frozen fruit and, keep frozen fruit in the freezer, and then you could have added some different fruit to that. But certainly I think just fresh fruit salad and some yoghurt. Or if the apple and pears are a bit past it, you could buy one of those rolls of ready-made pastry, unless you're good at making pastry yourself, and then you can make some pastry. But they're so easy. You just roll it out, you slice your apples and pears, put them on the pastry, maybe add a bit of maple syrup or sprinkle with a little bit of brown sugar, throw it in the oven for 20 minutes, and you've got a nice kind of tart, except it doesn't have a top on, so I'm not sure what you'd call it, but it's very nice, and then you could have that with yoghurt as well. If you're not a fan of brown bananas, actually I'm going to make a video for you guys about eating treats and why we do need to eat treats, and we shouldn't really avoid them as much as we're sometimes led to believe. They're really important. And I was going to show you how to make a really nice chocolate ice cream using bananas. So put those bananas in your freezer, and then you can use them to make some ice cream after I've done that video. Stacey has got... Stacey had a question. So Stacey said that courgettes always go soggy. I've never found that, to be honest. Occasionally they do, but I don't usually find that. Do you keep them in the fridge, is my first question, and is your fridge cold enough? It might be worth checking the temperature. You can buy a fridge thermometer for like £2 or £3. When you're asking how you can use them up quickly, I think courgettes go with pretty much anything, so you could put them in a stir fry, put them in an omelette like we've already suggested today, have them with a pasta sauce and some pasta, in a risotto, in a ratatouille. You could even, I remember there was seen a recipe for a lemony courgette salad once, and it was delicious. So you could slice them up and just cook them a little bit and then have them with a salad. I've got a griddle pan. If you've got a griddle pan, they're really nice griddles and they get like the nice sort of dark brown lines across them. You'd have them with couscous and other vegetables, with rice. They literally go with pretty much anything. So there's no reason for them to sit in your fridge for long enough to go soggy. I hope that's helpful, Stacey. Hopefully I've covered pretty much everybody's comments. I hope that has been helpful to sort of sit and see that there are meals that you can put together and you've got some leftovers. I think that's pretty much it for today. I haven't talked too much about reducing plastic, other than that if you're wasting food, you're also wasting plastic and it's being produced unnecessarily. Sometimes I buy products that are packaged in plastic, like frozen vegetables. I think it's good to have some frozen fruit and vegetables in your freezer, because it's like the dry goods in the cupboard. It kind of makes it easier to put a meal together when you've not got that much in the fridge. But when I'm buying fresh fruit and vegetables, I try to avoid plastic. I know it's not that easy, but often kind of go into the greengrocers rather than the supermarket. It's easier to buy things that aren't packaged in plastic, and the more you kind of cook in with fresh and whole ingredients, the less likely they are to be packaged in plastic. Sorry, I'm reading my notes. I didn't have a chance to read through them before I came on live because I was trying to find somewhere with some signal to talk to you. So we've been through always having the key ingredients in your cupboards. So tinned tomatoes, rice, pasta, beans, herbs and spices, stock cubes, that sort of thing. You can always make a meal as long as you've got some of those in your cupboards. It's healthy for your wallet, it's healthy for your planet. I'm sure a lot of you will have families, children, grandchildren, and want them to live in a better world instead of us kind of going on and plummeting and making more and more of a mess of the world. So the key points to remember when I've gone through today are to try to plan your meals before you go shopping, and then just buy for those meals and stick to what you've decided. Freeze food that's approaching its use-by date, or even if you'd been planning to have a meal on a certain day and then suddenly someone says, oh, let's go out for dinner, and you decide to go, then just have a think about the thing you were going to eat and, oh, do I need to freeze any of the ingredients? And I think that's about it. I haven't seen any questions coming up. I hope that means that they haven't, rather than that I've missed them. Thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry I kept looking at my notes. Please do, any questions you've got in the comments or even any feedback, more than happy to hear it, and I'll check back in later on and hopefully answer any comments that are on there, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.